All right, welcome to Valuable Coaching, a volleyball edition. We got a great guest here tonight. Kevin's going to go ahead and give him an introduction.
Well, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Coach Chris. Coach Chris is currently the coach at Whittier. He went to Claremont High School, known him since he was 18 years old, and it's great to have you on the show, Chris. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Miles. Appreciate being here. My name's Chris McDermott. I am the head women's volleyball coach at Whittier College. I have been there now for 8 going on 9 years. Coached, in Texas prior to that, junior college level, a couple years as an assistant before that, and high school and club kind of all before and along the way. So I'm super happy to be here. I grew up in Ontario, went to Claremont High School, went to the University of Laverne, master's at Concordia Irvine, and now I just get to coach volleyball. So
that's awesome. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of living the dream a little bit. We've been first diving in really to how coaches build culture, and we want to kind of get a breakdown of your philosophy a little bit. So, what is kind of your main philosophy as it comes to being a volleyball coach?
I think, there's a little bit of cliche in it, but I truly mean it. I think it's making sure that you're trying to have your athletes be the best version of them and make them better as people. And I know a lot of coaches feel that way and strive that kind of have that in their gym, but for me, it's one of the things I tell our recruits a lot is that like culture and that sense of family and kind of the way we do things and building it is something that you feel more than you say. And so I think that really the vibe that you get from the athletes that I have and the way that they carry themselves and the way that we put, attention to detail and work ethic and how much we want to win, but how much we want to do it the right way and just kind of be a championship on and off the, champion on and off the court, I think is really kind of what the girls that we bring on campus kind of get that sense of when they come. Because my goal is for all of our girls to be great ambassadors of the college, but more so themselves, their family, and kind of a representation of me too. So it's not just about volleyball. And I think it's huge because one of the things one of my returners had said actually to a recruit kind of recently was that being a part of our program is more of a lifestyle than something that you do. And I think that's the best way to describe what you get at the college when you play for us, because some people can see that as a negative, but I see that as such a positive because really it's something that's ingrained in every aspect of your life. So I think as long as we're continuing to give that kind of experience, that's kind of what I'm striving for, if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great philosophy. And that must be awesome to see a returning player be able to say that to a recruit. I think that's such a valuable tool when that's authentic and coming across to the new student athlete.
Yeah, it's a testament to the players and, of course, a testament to the coach. You're obviously building something. And, obviously, when you took the job, I knew you and we discussed and I've seen you on the recruiting trail. And one thing that I think's very unique and cool about your conference is it's extremely academic conference. You got the Claremont colleges, Cal Lutherans, a great school, Redlands, a like-minded school, Laverne's really good. You are too. I noticed when you took the job, you guys were a little bit on the bottom end of the conference volleyball wise, and you got offered the job and you and I would be sitting there and we were you talking about recruiting. It really has evolved and you've built something special there. And not only are you winning, you're beating big time programs that have had some really athletic volleyball success in NCAA. Can you go about the process from day one to where it is now, how the culture's changed? Sure. And then also, obviously it has changed a lot, Coach, because in the middle of that time, you were elected Coach of the Year of the conference, and they don't just give those awards out. Like, you have to earn it, and it's a team award. And you obviously been doing great things culture-wise. Can you touch up on that?
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, I appreciate all the kind words. I think the biggest thing is when I got to Whittier, I was fortunate to inherit a good group of returners. I think the previous coach had done a good job recruiting some talented athletes. We had quite a bit of experience being a little bit more senior heavy. I didn't have as much time to recruit a freshman class, but we were fortunate to get 4 tremendous athletes in the short amount of time that we had. And luckily they all blended together. I think I was a little bit fortunate in that one of the current seniors on the team had been one of my ex-club players. So I think that helped a little bit with the, kind of coming in and a little bit of instant credibility. But other than that, I think it was just a matter of time and patience and setting the standard and really letting our girls know where I wanted to take the program, but more where I wanted to help them get to, and that I wanted to be a part of their success and not just the reason that the school did X, Y, and Z, and how we were going to do it. There was never any questions. I'm really big on communication. And so meeting with our athletes became regular. We called our meetings roles and goals, where we define the role of the athlete, talk about the goals, define the role of where our program is, talk about the goals of our program. And little by little, we kind of chipped away and started outworking some people. And we're really fortunate. We had a couple of solid wins that first year and kind of turned some heads on a couple of teams that we took to 4 and 5 that maybe we shouldn't have. From everybody else's standard, not my own, I expected to do that regardless. But, and then from there, it was just kind of the instillment of hard work and that even if you're not given the same, hand or dealt the same hand of cards from the rest of the conference, that we can be just as good by out training, out working, and kind of changing the perspective of what hard is. And so little by little, we started to attract more girls, I think, that kind of bought in and went all in right away. And, every passing year, I thought we were getting a little bit better. And then, like you said, 2015, we were lucky. I know it was coaching staff of the year, but to me, it was program of the year, because I thought we made a really big stride from kind of being on the bottom to making our top 4 tournament. But just missing out on the NCAA tournament, but kind of setting that standard that we were a little bit more relevant. And one of the things I think that we talked about after that was that now we have that target on our back, and what are we going to do now? Like, now we're relevant. People don't underestimate us. So how are we going to handle teams playing at a high level and expecting to play at a high level against us, and that became kind of the new threshold. So we are fortunate a couple years later to make the NCAA playoffs for the first time ever and receive a regional ranking. And it was fun. The girls worked hard, and they all knew that it was from a lot of the work that came before them. And so, now it's kind of cool to have, that cycling of good athletes, good recruits, but more so hardworking, athletic women that want to be good and want to work hard and want to win and are competitive and all that, because now they kind of, it's a little bit easier to attract that now, and whether they're 6 foot or 5'10", 5'8", it doesn't matter, because a baller's a baller, and that's kind of been the fun part, I think, of these last few years, is just seeing the progression of when we used to strive to take sets off of teams, where now we're mad if they take sets off of us. And the game plan was, can we take that team to 5? And now if we don't beat them, it's almost like a disappointing night. So I was telling our girls that even on our off quote unquote year last season, we were a little bit young, that some of the teams that we beat and some of the ones that we knocked down were the teams that we used to strive for. And now it's becoming an expectation, and so it just kind of goes back to kind of outworking everybody and fearing nobody and kind of changing that mentality.
Yeah, that's a great shift that have happened, I'm sure, especially as a coach. Like you said,
Sure.
You're expecting to win, but it doesn't always come together that fast. One thing you said that really resonated with me was those individual meetings, roles and goals. One thing Kevin and I think have been finding doing these interviews is that coaches are doing a lot of things that kind of, make us feel validated in some of our practices. That's something I've always done, is have individual meetings, even if it's just quick in practice. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about what you do in those meetings and
Sure.
why you feel those kind of individual meetings are important to break down those roles for your individual athletes?
Sure. So we call it our roles and goals. I don't even remember how that came about and how we titled it. I think it was just something my assistant and I at the time kind of spoke about. And we were talking about defining the athletes' roles, but also kind of wanting to hear from them about how they think things are going, what their perception is. We talk a lot about perception versus reality in our program, and the way they perceive me versus me them, and vice versa, teammates and so on. And so the point of the roles and goals meetings is to really kind of define where the coaching staff has evaluated their role on the team currently, and what their personal goals are, what our goals for them are, but how we can make sure that those align with each other and how we're going to get there. So it's breaking down, we call them our keys to success, where the staff has sat back and we've evaluated what are the 3 major things that no matter how much as coaches we want to sit and fix every single little thing that they do, what are the 3 major things that they need to work on right now to kind of get them to the next threshold, and as long as they have those defined in a private, one-on-one type of meeting, then even when I'm telling them a million other things at practice, they know that when in doubt, they can always fall back on these 3 things that have been evaluated away from the current situation to know that that's what needs to happen before our next roles and goal meeting, and I think it's important that we talk to them too about not just how things are going, but where they think their role is and where I see their role, and how we're going to get there. And I like to be honest with them. Sometimes we used to joke a lot that I might be too honest in those meetings, never disrespectful, but a little bit too honest in those meetings. But one of the big things I think is important is I don't like a lot of guessing in our program. So if I'm at practice and trying to teach you something, if you're sitting here looking at me thinking about what I'm thinking about, then we're not learning. So if you already know in a different space where we've had the conversations and we're hammering things out and now we're on the same page, now you get to take everything at practice at face value. And I feel like we get to break down those barriers, build a little bit more trust, but now everything that we try to fix or teach or train at practice just becomes more, it resonates a little bit better. And I think it sticks with the athletes a little bit better because they're not wondering what I'm thinking as I'm telling them that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great answer.
Yeah. Well, Coach, before we started recording, and I've known this about you, it seems like, and I do this too, is you sometimes bring outside sources to get a different voice, professionals to come and talk to your team that don't necessarily have any volleyball experience, but they have, whether it's life skills experience, whether it's leadership experience. Can you discuss what you've done with your culture in the past and your philosophy with your program? What type of people do you bring into your program to talk to your kids? What do they get out of it? And why do you do it?
Yeah, I think, a couple of years ago, we had a partnership with Human X Ventures, and it was with our athletics department in general. And all the coaches got to take part in this, and it was about measuring culture. And we were one of the teams that were selected to get a little bit more extensive time with one of their representatives, who was fantastic. Everyone that we worked with there was fantastic, but this one in particular, Jen, was great because she worked a lot with our team one-on-one. And it was just more about, like, I don't want to say it's personality tests, but it's more measuring what the strengths and the different types of personalities and the different focus of what your strengths versus weaknesses are as athletes, so that it gave a little bit more insight to us as coaches as to how they learn and kind of how they perceive things and what are their defense mechanisms, what are their tendencies. And then a lot of our sessions too really got the opportunity for us to be a little bit more vulnerable together, because we're sitting and discussing. It could be a team issue. It could be how we're going to make our culture better. It could be the temperature of the team currently and what we think and perceive ourselves as, because I think one of the big things is if you don't see yourself as a winner, you're not going to be a winner, And so that was kind of one cool, unique thing that I thought our department did in years past. And I think we kind of egged on a different school in our conference to kind of do the same thing and jump in with us. And it was fun. It was a fun experience. I got to learn a lot from my athletes, and I hope they got to learn a lot from me. In addition to that, I think we do, I'm actually with the director of our Student Athlete Leadership Academy on campus. So it's with all the student athletes. And so one of the things that we like to do just in general is bring in different guest speakers to give them different perspectives, and it could be whatever the SAC initiative is for the NCAA for the year that we're aligned a little bit more, could be related to Special Olympics. But we like to make sure that we're giving all the student athletes a little bit more to think about and kind of learn from and have these experiences that they can take away besides sport. And hopefully take those back too into their programs and kind of help further not only the departmental culture and the camaraderie between sports, but their own ability to kind of be leaders on their own teams. One of the things that I've been talking about and we've done more recently because of COVID is, I'm jokingly, I kind of call it our Volleyball Legends series is what we're aiming to do, but getting some guest speakers of coaches or athletes or people who've done something significant in our sport, and just kind of having them tell their story, tell their story on a Zoom with my team so that they don't have to hear my voice for another Zoom session. We are fortunate to have Rosie Wegrich come on, one of ours, and just kind of talk to us about her career as a player, as a coach, is playing professionally in the co-ed professional league. And I think it was neat for our girls to hear the perspective of someone coming up through athletics at a time when it was different than what they get to enjoy and see today, and what her struggles were, what her strengths were, what she loved about it, what was tough. I think all those kind of added conversations that they have are things that they don't necessarily get from us as a staff, because they hear, obviously, we want the best. We preach about them being fortunate and all these things. But I think to kind of hear it from the horse's mouth makes it a complete different experience for our girls to learn from. And to see other role models, I think that's kind of huge too, is to kind of discover other people in our sport, other people away from our sport, what they're doing and how they can be better. Because I hope that as athletes, all of us strive to be the best version of ourselves, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I mean, I think that's great that you're doing that, because most of those people aren't going to go on and be professionals in those sports. So they gotta see and learn, what else is out there for them.
All right. What a great start to the week. This has been, this is a great interview. Really, Chris is a fantastic coach, and, I love hearing about philosophy, but tomorrow he goes really in depth into practice planning. So if you're a coach looking at practice planning, if you're a player looking at what a great coach does for their practices, tomorrow's episode is going to be great on practice planning. Please take a listen. Again, follow us on Instagram. You'll get updates as to where you can find all our content, or Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Valuable Coaching, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we look forward to getting more from Chris tomorrow on practice.
Hey, if you're looking for some great clothing, new logo, you need a great combination, go to onestoneapparel.com. They made us this awesome logo that fit better onto a great polo shirt, hoodie, and they got all kinds of different materials that you can choose from. So again, check them out, onestoneapparel.com. Email Dave at onestoneapparel.com. Let him know Valuable Coaching sent you.